Hello, Kremlin Nation! I'm Chase, this is my brother Cody, and we are coming back at you today with another video. As you can tell from the title you clicked, we're going to be talking about Epcot 2020 tips. How to plan a trip for Epcot in 2020.
Yeah, so basically it's like every other park at Walt Disney World now. You do have to have a pass to go. There are no fast pass reservations. So really it's kind of like old school Disney World.
And it's Epcot, so everything's
Epcot.
In the 90s still.
Right. Yes. Basically, yes. With the exception of Frozen.
Yeah, true. So, major differences at Epcot. One that I saw from the video from our vlog that if you haven't seen, it will be link up in the corner and at the end of the video is so Test Track's obviously a major ride for Epcot, right? Probably it's one of the big three.
Yeah, other than Frozen, it's usually the one with the longest line.
Yeah. So no touch screens inside a Test Track.
Correct.
How does it feel going through Test Track with not being able to design anything and just riding it?
So it's a little weird because that's the ride you're used to. Like as long as you don't go single rider, you always get to design a car, whether it's you're in the fast pass line or the regular line. So that's something that is pretty much a constant no matter how you ride the attraction. So that was definitely weird. It was definitely weird how they winded the line
through all the different
So it
rooms.
was like you went through different rooms and everything. So yeah, I mean, that was a major difference. And you know, they have the walls up at a lot of the turns and different ways you go in the queue. Trying to think if that was really it. Also, you have only one party to a car, I think. So if you're in a group of 3 or less, you only have one row taken up. Yeah, so like me and Bailey had our own car.
Yeah.
Which is similar. That's basically anything with only 2 rows. Yeah. So like Navi River had our own boat. Anything that's only 2 rows, they do every other row.
Yeah. How did they do Soarin'? Because Soarin', it's like, is it like 10 or 12 seats?
Yeah, so
and
Soarin'.
it's on hang glider. And then...
So Soarin', it'll be like, I don't know how they had it divided up because there were some things where there was like 4 people. Yeah, there was like a 2, a 4, a 2 or something. But they had like plexiglass in between each seat.
Oh.
Not each seat, but each group. So it'd be like 2 seats, plexiglass. Then they would have like a...
But there's like a group of like 5.
That's what I'm saying. So they have like 2, they'd have like a group of 2 and then a group of like 6 seats, but the one next to that one is like crossed out or whatever. So I think if you had a group of more than like 5 or 6, they would probably have to split you up in the different ones. But I mean, Soarin' still moved through a ton of people. That was Soarin'. Yeah. I never saw Soarin' longer than like 10 minutes when we were there.
Because I could see that ride being a problem, considering it's like it's like, okay, all these people go in at one time, and for like, I don't know how long Soarin' is, like 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
And so like that's 5 or 6 minutes where the line isn't moving.
Yeah. You know? So I can tell you that when we rode it, the line for Living with the Land was longer than Soarin'. So I think it helps that Soarin' has 3 theaters.
Yeah.
So all 3 theaters are going. They still do the pre-show thing with Patrick Warburton. Patrick Warburton. Good grief. I almost said I almost combined him and Mark Wahlberg's name. And then, but you still have your like 6 feet of social distancing. But I think the main thing is that it's 3 groups per row, and in between each group there's a plexiglass divider. Okay. But I mean that's better than like 1 group per row. Yeah. Because if you do 1 group per row,
it's gonna take forever.
Right.
Okay, so what's like the food because obviously Epcot's main draw right now is
food and wine.
Whatever festival's going on.
Yeah, which I think it was food and wine. I'm 90% sure that it's food and wine going on right now. But that was pretty much all the same. There were a few of the like little kiosks that weren't open. Like, you know, when they do food and wine, they have all the countries open and then some little kiosks around. I don't know how they pick and choose which ones they're opening and which ones they're not. But as far as all your main dishes that you're used to at Food and Wine, you should be fine. Like, they should have them all. I didn't notice anything that they didn't have off the top of my head thinking about it.
Okay. Was there any, like, other major... Okay, so y'all ate at Coral Reef.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all have that booked beforehand, or did you
No.
just book it the day
We
of?
booked it the day of.
All right.
And we could pretty much book whatever time we wanted.
All right.
Now,
that's a big tip.
it may be a little different because we had a party of 2.
True.
So I don't know how easy... I mean, obviously a party of 2 is always going to be easier than a larger party. But still, Coral Reef, at any time that you want to on a normal day in Epcot, you're probably not getting it the same day. And when we went, it wasn't a full restaurant also.
And for those of you who haven't been to Coral Reef, it's the restaurant by the Seas with Nemo and Friends. Mm-hmm. It's kind of tucked away in that back corner. So
now, and this changed when we were there, if you remember last time we were there, in what, February? Is that when we were there? I think it's February. It's not as tucked in anymore. So now, when you go in the park, you either have to split way right or way left.
Right.
There's not going, like, you can't get underneath Spaceship Earth anymore. That fountain area is gone. All of that's gone. And it's all walled off now. So when you go right, you literally pass right by it now. Which before, we even ate there the first time. I didn't even remember where it was. The only way I remember where it was is because the wall that's there, the toothpaste wall or the whatever wall is there that all the Instagrammers take pictures of.
It's not the toothpaste one, I don't think, but...
Whatever, same thing.
Yeah.
The blue and tealish.
Yeah, I don't know which one it is.
But you are right. It used to be real tucked away, but now if you go right or if you're leaving and going left, you pass right by it. So that is one thing that's the major thing for me, the major difference currently in Epcot, but that happened literally right before the COVID shutdown because I think we were there in February and they shut down like a month later. And when we were there in February, it had just happened like within a week of when we got there. So that's a big difference now. If you haven't been to Epcot since February, it's a huge difference. Like navigating around the park, like there's gonna be buildings missing that you're used to seeing. Like there's no Club Cool, there's no either fountains. Like there's a big fountain. There's no Starbucks. There's no interventions.
They're supposed to be getting rid of the shop, but when I went there last, it wasn't.
Okay, so the big shop, Mouse Gear, the part that faces Club Cool is gone, and what they've done is they've basically cut Mouse Gear in half. It seems like, and now it's just one way in, one way out, and it's like half the size. So it's technically still there.
It's still open?
It's technically still open, but they've just put up a wall where you can tell it used to be a lot bigger than what it was now. So,
okay. For those of the people who haven't been to Coral Reef or are interested in checking it out, we also have a video up in this corner. Bing! Of our Coral Reef review. Have you eaten at any other restaurants at Epcot? We've eaten at Rose and Crown. Which was good. Which, if you want to get fish and chips...
Oh, that's a big tip.
Yeah.
So, I can't think of I think it's like Rose and Crown...
No, it's a different name.
Okay, so the quick service place in the UK Pavilion is currently closed. However, there is a Rose and Crown restaurant, but there's also a Rose and Crown pub, which is just a bar. In the Rose and Crown pub, currently, I'm assuming until the quick service place opens, you can go in there and order fish and chips to go. And they will give it to you, the same fish and chips, they serve it to you the exact same
And the
way.
quick service place is now your relaxation station, right?
Correct.
So you can go there and eat. So it's like...
Yep.
It's still a pretty nice spot, especially since you can't walk and eat and drink.
Right.
So...
Yeah, it's nice. You don't have to carry your food a long ways, which they do have tables set up everywhere during Food and Wine, as you know. Like, it's not impossible at all to find a table, especially during COVID with the light crowds.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, as far as sitting down and eating, that's, like, one of the best spots, I think.
Because, I don't know, that's my biggest problem with Epcot, especially during the festival time, is, like, you can always find first off, you can always find food. There's food everywhere.
Right.
And there's also tables everywhere. Now, sometimes you might get one, sometimes you might get a trash can, but it's so hard to find a place to sit down.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, like, Sasha loves to sit down and eat. She's like, I'm sitting down relaxing for 20 minutes. Whereas me, I never really cared. But, like, noticing how she's always, like, bringing that up about Epcot, I'm like, wow, there really aren't, like, a lot of places to sit down and eat, which is, I mean, for mom and dad, that would be an issue. So, like, for anyone, like, that's older or just needs a place to relax, like...
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. The UK Pavilion, to sit down and eat.
Yeah, the Mexican
the UK Pavilion, the Mexican Pavilion. The French Pavilion has the place by the ice cream place. Which we actually got ice cream there.
Not a lot of room, but
no. But if you're in a party of like 4 or less, you should be fine. The American Pavilion,
which is usually packed, but you may find seats inside. I mean outside.
Yeah.
You can fight off birds.
I think that's it. That may be it. Just those 4 or 5 pavilions. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
I will say one thing that is probably the major difference in Epcot right now is your character experiences. So there's 2 different things that I noticed that were really different. For one, there's a parade that goes all the way around, or a cavalcade that goes all the way around World Showcase. I'm not sure where it starts, but I can tell you it finishes by the gateway to the international gateway where we come in if we're staying
at the gondola
on some that comes to the gondolas, right? So it ends kind of out by there. I'm not sure where it starts, but it goes from the Mexico Pavilion towards that area. I don't know where it starts though, but that's cool because they used to have a parade. They used to have a parade at Epcot, but that was before me. I don't remember that either. So that was kind of cool. That was a unique experience that you don't always see. And it had all the main characters, all the Fab Five were there. And then the other big character experience was, there's Joy who meets outside of the Imagination Pavilion. And she's like right on the other side of the fence. So you can like still go and interact with her. You can take a picture. It's just however far away, 6 feet away, I guess. But the funny one is that Pooh comes out and like walks around like the little where the flowers are and down by the water and stuff. And like he has like a little butterfly net that he's like chasing butterflies with, and he does like stretches and stuff. It's pretty funny. Yeah. So
there's something that you won't ever see. Like once after all this is done and we're back to normal, that's something that we're not ever gonna see.
And I saw somebody post on Instagram today, and I was like, it is crazy that it took a pandemic for Disney to get back to doing all these small things. Like I feel like that's one thing that's a big advantage Disneyland has over us is that Disneyland does a bunch of small things that changes stuff up all the time. Like it's like, oh, all of a sudden you go and Space Mountain is Star Wars themed, or Space Mountain's pitch black, or Space Mountain has a Halloween overlay, or the Halloween overlay at Haunted Mansion, or the Christmas overlay at Haunted Mansion, or like the list goes on and on and on and on and on about how like they do small things that are like, wow, that's a good change. But at Disney World, they don't do that. And it took a pandemic for it to be like, wow, like this is really cool. Why did they never do this before? Like it would take nothing to have Pooh just run around the flowers or whatever, being all Pooh Bear. And like, it would be funny. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it would like draw a huge attendance or whatever, but the people that saw it
but it's like the janitors.
Would enjoy it.
It's
right,
like,
exactly. Which the janitors now, that is a change. They are playing at the pavilion outside the
big pavilion.
The big pavilion outside the American Pavilion.
Yep.
So
where the Guardians of the Galaxy show used to be.
Or
the best show in Disney.
Like small parades that go around World Showcase. Like Epcot they want more IP in Epcot. Put characters on a parade and drive them through World Showcase.
Oh, can you imagine a World Showcase, like the busyness of it, if a parade came through? Like, during like a festival.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that just sounds horrible.
One last thing. I'm gonna
Okay.
add one more thing. Maybe you can edit that to where it doesn't sound as abrupt, but if not, whatever. One of the weirdest things, and it's not a major thing because I don't think we've ever actually done it, but one of the weirdest things is getting off Spaceship Earth to an empty room that like basically has all the lights off. Like nothing's on. None of the touchscreens are working.
That reverb got pushed back.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't think it's part of the refurb. I think it's because a lot of those are like touchscreen.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously.
But at the same time, none of that's going to be. I would assume none of that's going to be in the refurb version. But it's weird getting off of Spaceship Earth and it's like you just walk in. It's like there's no one there, not a soul there, and it's just like. None of the stuff is on, and it's like, wow, I never even did any of this stuff, but it's not there anymore. So,
all right. Well, I hope you found one of these tips useful on your 2020 trip. If you haven't, then we're sorry.
But give us a thumbs up.
Give us a thumbs up anyway. Comment your tips if you have any more than ours, so that other lovely people can see your comment. Cody, do you have anything else for us?
That's all I have for us.
That's it. All right, stay tuned because next up we're going to be doing the same style video but for Magic Kingdom. But until next time, guys.
Kwaherini.